All right. We've got lots of guests here today, but the guy that I called to arrange this program is Chris Wiley. Chris, you want to raise your hand? Chris is the Director of Parks and Recreations and Cultural Programs for the town of Knightdale. He oversees staff and also long-term town projects, which is why he's organizing this. Chris is from Knightdale, received his Bachelor's of Science in Physical Education and Sports Management from Elon University, and has more than 20 years experience in recreation management. So let's welcome Chris, and he will introduce our other presenters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Howard. Mrs. Howard reached out to me a couple months ago and wanted to know if I could come and do a presentation. And I kind of switched the dates on her. I said, you know, during COVID and everything, we just unfortunately don't have a lot to report on or talk about. But since then, we've had some really exciting news I wanted to share with you. We have chosen McGill and Associates to do Knightdale's first ever Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And this is really important for us because while we have great facilities right now, Knightdale Station Park, Mingo Creek, Knightdale Community Park, Harper Park, our area is just growing. It continues to grow. And we get calls and requests every day, some really good suggestions about, hey, we need a disc golf course. Hey, we need a community garden. We need more adult programs. We need more kinder programs. And instead of just, you know, throwing darts at the wall, what do? We need a plan. We need community input. And Mike and his partners from McGill are going to lead us. I'm very proud. I'm very excited about these guys. I want to brag on them for a minute because they are probably the best in the state. If you're doing a master plan, I would say 70% of the counties and municipalities have used this group. They know what they're doing. We're very lucky to have them. They're going to get some great community input, and they're going to create a plan that Knightdale can be proud of for 20 plus years. We're thinking about a plan, not just current right now, but when our grandkids and stuff are here and have a facility to use. So at this time, I want to introduce Mike Norris and Luann Bryan and Jim Ford with McGill and Associates. And I want to let them kind of take you through and kind of explain how this plan is going to work. But thanks again for allowing us to meet with you guys today. And we definitely want as much community input as we can have, and definitely a voice from the Rotary whenever we start having our open meetings about the needs of Knightdale. But thank you for allowing us to speak today. And Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Chris. And can everyone hear me clearly? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So again, Chris, we're excited to be here. I've got Luann and Jim. Luann is great to work with and has her whole professional career has been with Parks and Recreation. Jim and I have developed these plans with a number of communities, and we're really excited about Knightdale and the future, because it's like a growing family, you know, except in having one, you're having triplets all at the same time. You're growing so fast. So now that's important because we need to understand the not only what is need, and as Chris mentioned, he gets requests all the time for a variety of things, but think about what that's going to be like 10, 15, 20 years from now. So what we're going to do today, I've got a short presentation, and I know we call it a presentation, but it's more of facilitating. We want to take this time to hear from you about recreation parks in Knightdale. Put on your thinking caps for the entire community, not only yourselves, but just in general. You've seen Knightdale change and will continue to see Knightdale change. So how does that impact you and your families and friends, and how, again, we've got a few direct questions I think that might generate some conversation. But what I want to do first is just generally, I'm going to start sharing my screen. I've got, like I said, I've got a short PowerPoint that we're going to go through, but let's see here, share. Okay. So, okay, everyone see that, correct? Okay. So just to give you an overview of what this Parks and Recreation Master Plan entails, we've got 6 items here, and these kind of go typically in this manner as far as the flow. We'll talk about community input here in a second, but understanding who we are as a community, not only the population now, but how are we going to grow? How is that going to expand over the years coming? Our inventory, our park facility inventory, knowing what we have is really important. Now, obviously, the town has facilities, but we also want to acknowledge other partners who provide recreational facilities and amenities. So, for instance, school systems are a good example. Community input. We want to get input from as many, with as many opportunities as possible. This group is going to provide community input today as a focus group. And then we have public meetings. We also have online surveys, questionnaires that we'll use. And what we do with that is really take that information, the community input that we've got, and roll that into facility recommendations. Once we get the input, what are we going to do with it? So obviously, it's better for us to get as much input, because that helps. Good community input really helps drive the plan and makes the decisions easier for us. Of course, one of the more challenging aspects of that plan is we know we have a Santa Claus wish list of everything under the sun that we want to do. So we've got to determine what are the true priorities that are going to make the most impact for our community, and how do we implement those over a period of time. We can't do all of these at once. So we try to plan this out over a period of time to see how we can implement this. Obviously, we look at grant opportunities, different funding partners that can help implement this into a final document. So I shared with you that community input slide there. Real excited about this. We love doing community input because, again, it's something we really have a lot of enthusiasm. We understand there's many different groups that have many different desires and needs. And so I had steering committee questions up here, but this is actually what we used for those. And I'm going to use some of the same polling questions I have for them for you. So this is a chance for us to really understand what you can offer us. The more we hear, the better we can respond to the plan. But what do you feel like are the most significant assets in Knightdale? Marie, do you have any ideas?
Well, I was just going to, I'm muting myself. We don't actually live in Knightdale, and we're old retired people. So we don't drive to Knightdale often to play, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But the one facility that I have used is Knightdale Station Park. We've been there a few times. But, to be honest, we aren't a big consumer of Parks and Rec in Knightdale, and probably won't be. But
so as far as just assets, it may not necessarily be specific to recreation. It could be, the growth, the demographics of Knightdale. This is for everyone. We want to hear. I don't want to have to do a roll call to go down and ask everyone, but we really want to see what your thoughts are.
Hey, Mike, this is Matt. I first of all appreciate you and your team being here today, along with Chris. Y'all, I'm a little biased because I work for the YMCA, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there a little bit, and just say I love as far as park assets, I love everything that Knightdale's doing. I could see the growth that's going on over at Harper Park with the pickleball courts and the tennis courts, and the revitalization there has been wonderful. And now at Knightdale Station, having the Y, having the park system, having a little brewery, like the fact that it's kind of that you kind of got government, you got nonprofit, you got business all in one little center that looks nice, fun, that brings a diverse crowd, that brings everybody. Everybody's welcome and it's very inclusive. I think that, to me, if we can continue to push inclusivity through our design, through what we do, and bring people together to build common ground, to have recreation, to build fitness, all those things. I mean, I think it's just going to help our community. And I, like Marie, I live in Wendell Falls, so I'm kind of like halfway between Knightdale and Wendell, but we tend to gravitate more towards Knightdale because it's just 5 minutes down Robertson Road to get to Knightdale Station Park. So I love all the things that the town's been doing with the park system, even the partnerships on the other side of the road, like with NCFC and things like that. So just figuring out more ways to bring the community together is huge. My last thing I'll say, and now I'll get to it when you ask. I don't want to jump ahead of questions. So I love everything the park system's doing. I love the little business center with all the shopping and stuff is good for us. We do most of our shopping right there, and Lowe's Foods and Target and all that kind of stuff too. So all in all, we love this. We love this area, and it's the best thing too is our property values are going up, and it's not too crowded either yet. I know that's coming, but we're not like some of the other communities yet where it's hard to get around. So we appreciate that. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
So I guess just to follow up a little bit on something Matt said, he said it hasn't got too crowded yet. I hate crowds. And Knightdale Park is a beautiful facility, but I hate going there when they have a fair. I'm more interested in things like the Mingo Creek Trail, which is I don't know, getting more into nature, but in a pretty easy way. So I like trails like that, and I like to avoid crowds.
Mhm.
So do you value, I would say, your assets or some of the natural open space areas are an important element for Knightdale, possibly.
Yes.
Urban retain.
Yes. And I'd like to see that maintained, and I'm not going to say expanded necessarily, but as Knightdale grows, make sure they incorporate open space, green space, trees, nature, included as part of the design.
Okay, great.
And I would say one thing I like about Knightdale is, especially, I also live in Wendell Falls, but driving up through Robertson Road and seeing the farms and seeing things that aren't, disturbed by big city yet. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think in terms of assets, and I don't know maybe how to explain this, but Knightdale still has a rural feel to it, but it's close to the big city. It's easy to move around. I'm less than 15 minutes from the shopping center up in Route 1, and things like that. But out here, I'm pretty much, I live in a subdivision, but I'm living in the country. I mean, I can very quickly be in the woods, and I like that rural feel. But the convenience of being close to the city.
Who else?
I think you've heard from all of us now that are,
Except Jessica might have something to say.
yeah, Jessica might.
So I do
Morning.
think
I was wondering if I should or just listen, but because I don't want to sway at all. But I'll just make a couple just personal comments, and this will be a time for me to say my personal thoughts. But I love what has been said already. But the parks, definitely the opportunity to get out. I think, Matt, you said the diversity that we have and the diversity of options, whether it's individual, whether it's couple, family, whatever, we've got options for everyone. And I love that. Excited about what we're going to be able to do with the stage. I know we just started putting things together before COVID, and then COVID hit and we lost some of the opportunities to do things at the park. So really want to see kind of some planning out there of activities to continue to bring people together, and people have things to do. We talk about the live, work, and play, and now we finally have the spaces to be able to play, and we want to continue to grow that. Harper Park with the pickleball courts has really taken off, and glad to see the opportunities with the pickleball courts there. And as you mentioned as well, on the other side of town, growing that with the soccer parks. And I'd like to see a little bit more in that area too, and spread out the opportunity so that there are spaces and pockets and activities all throughout town and not just in central locations. So.
Fantastic. I do think it is unique. You were so close to, to downtown Raleigh for that matter. And having, as someone mentioned, having natural open space areas and being able to escape to that more rural feel in a matter of minutes is pretty unique. And I think that's going to be, I think we'll have more feedback from other groups with the same comment. So I want to move to the next question. So I'm interested to hear, or Lou Ann and Jim as well, is what do you feel like is maybe lacking in a park system? And this could be in a variety of areas. I've included facilities, programs, special events, but as David may say, well, I want to make sure that we're including open space preservation or trails or something like that. So I'd like to hear from you what you feel like we may be deficient of.
I guess I'm thinking of places I've lived previously, and while I'm on the trail theme again, and while there are trails in and around Knightdale, the trail system is not as diverse, varied as it may have been in other places. Yeah, I know I've got 2 access points to the Neuse River Trail within 10 minutes of where I live, but that's pretty far outside the city of Knightdale, those access points. It would be nice if there was some kind of trail system in the city where you didn't have to travel to get access. Don't know how you do that, but and I'm thinking of groups that may not have the mobility I have. I jump in the car. Lots of people don't have cars. I can afford to pay for gas. Lots of people can't do that. So it's, I guess what I'd say what's missing is a trail system with convenient access for all groups. And I guess I'm thinking socioeconomic groups. I've done a lot of work in, let me loosely call them ghettos, underserved, poor areas, and access is a big issue, big challenge, and I have not seen them personally, but I've been told those type of areas do exist in Knightdale, and I think we've got to make sure we serve the whole population.
Great. Well said.
Anyone else?
Yeah, y'all. I could talk on this stuff for days. I'm a little biased too, in the fact that I used to run a nonprofit called Band Together, and we were all about live music. So when COVID goes away, and I hope it does, I know David's probably got some insight on that, but I'm hopeful that it's going to go away. I do want to see some crowds again. I love the fireworks shows we did, the unique programming where we bring people together. I would love to see a live music series with the amphitheater. I'm sure that was probably in the works before COVID went, took us a little sideways here. And just opportunities to bring people together would be great. I don't know how I think we are serving a diverse group to Jessica's point earlier, but also wonder, like, our senior population, and I just don't know, it's more of a question. Do we have opportunities for them to have I know these things get expensive, like a community center or a place where folks can gather and do things that may not be as physical, providing access in that way. And like I said, y'all know I work for the Y. I'd love to see a Y building there to promote fitness alongside that pool and that park. That would be great too. I mean, I think we just got to continue to build out the assets that we have. I think that's the theme that I hear, and utilize the assets we have. And I know COVID has slowed that down a lot for every community, but I think I feel like we're doing a good job, at least from my family's perspective. We just need to continue to grow and build upon what we have and be able to utilize the assets that we have so far.
Thank you. And everyone, I just want to emphasize that we do want to hear from everyone. We need to know what everybody's views are like. It's really good that what we've heard. And so if anyone else would like to chime in on what we might be lacking in the park system that we could add to.
Yeah, I have an autistic granddaughter, and we were taking her up to Harper Park because there weren't crowds there, and she doesn't like crowds. So take her to Knightdale Station where they have most of the playground equipment. She loves to go, but when there's a lot of people, she just stands back. So it's nice. Now we're taking her to Mingo Creek because there's a little park there that she can play on. So I think that having, I'm sure there's a lot of people on the autism spectrum in Knightdale, and to have places where they can go where it's, maybe quieter or off the beaten track where people don't really notice it, but that you can take her, so I could take her there and she could have, her fun too.
Thank you.
Have we covered everyone? Has everyone had?
I'd like to add one more thing. Again, following up on what Doris said, I know up in Granville County that they have a county park. And I think it was last year, they put in some sort of outdoor exercise facility designed for handicapped individuals, physically handicapped individuals. And I don't know if we have something like that in Knightdale, but I'll throw it into the pot for something to think about.
And the other thing, kind of building on the outdoor exercise thing, is do we have a parkour course around here? I don't know. I haven't looked for it, must say. But that's something that I think would be helpful to have if we don't.
Chris would have to say that for me, unfortunately. I'm not sure.
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Do we have a what? I'm sorry.
It's parkour. It's basically exercise I saw it in Europe. So it's like you go to a station and you do push-ups, then you go to the next station, you do pull-ups, and then you go to the next station and you crawl on something, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we do not. That would be something we are lacking.
Thanks, Chris. And yes, those are getting more and more popular. So we've been doing those and put them in quite a few parks. In my previous career, we put in quite a few, Chris. So yeah, I think that's something we could definitely think about. Anyone else?
I just remembered one other thing. When we were going to Harper Park, I could sit on the picnic table while she played, and now I go to Mingo Creek and I sit on the back end of my car because there's no place to sit out there. So places to sit in parks would be nice.
Okay. site amenities. Gotcha.
All right, let's go to our next question, Luann.
What are the biggest limitations for the park system? Can anyone think about limitations that are currently affecting what our park system can and cannot offer? Suzanne that's in a chat saying bathrooms are terrific. Yes, that's been huge lately in our public input. Restrooms at the parks have been really big. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm sure if we had a larger tax base, we could generate more money. I'm sure money is always an issue with parks. My stepdad used to run Wake County Parks and Rec for a long time, and I can remember him, you know, always trying to go for a bond referendum to try to get more money for parks, and it's tough. And then I'm sure, even though we're in a very rural place too, there's only so much available land, you know, that we have to do these things. So I'm sure those are a couple big limitations. And then you got all of us, the people. Everyone's got an opinion. Even though you're inviting it today, everyone's got an opinion about what should happen, and that can probably feel limiting at times. You know, like, you know, certain groups want to go a certain direction, other groups want to go a different direction. So I'm sure those are some of the major hurdles that y'all face when you're doing this.
Prioritize it is a big thing. You're right. You know, you got to figure out what the town can afford to do, what's going to have the largest impact on the most people. Those are the things. But we need to hear what everybody wants, because that way at least we can have a prioritized list. And as we used to say, you know, when a grant becomes available, you might go a little bit lower on the list and pick up one that's not number one. But at least you know that you're working down the list. So anyone else?
This is Suzanne. I moved to Knightdale in 1985, and I have not lived there in a long time. I live in Raleigh now, but I went back maybe 6 months ago. I lived in Carrington Woods, and I was just astounded with how the area had changed so much, especially with the bypass. I also worked really hard for affordable housing for all of Wake County with the League of Women Voters. And I'm sure you're well aware that you are the fastest growing part of the county. And I heard your mayor speak at a housing climate, and it was just a general thing about growth. What a forward thinking person. But, you know, you guys are going to be really facing a lot in the near future. And I'm so glad to have this program today, because having parks, they're one of the biggest assets you can have. It's just amazing what Knightdale and your area, even further east, are doing to meet these challenges. It's a blessing because you do have a bigger tax base, but it's also quite a challenge to serve all those people.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And that is very true. And land acquisition, it's going to be really, I think, important for the future if we're going to be able to serve the expected demographics that should be coming your way.
Right. And you guys are on the bus line, the new express bus line from Raleigh, so people can catch the bus and ride into town without having to drive in. So if you could, you know, acquire property that's close to the bus line to use it for affordable housing for the workers who may be serviced and not have such huge asset like the market value, that would be so marvelous. Parks as well. I know Dix Park, I live in Boylan Heights in Raleigh, and having Dix Park here is just amazing how much it stimulates in tax funding, because all the developers want to build around it.
Exactly. When you have a nice park, people want to live close by, and that's really good. It's been the same thing with greenways. Greenways have improved property value. I have friends who purchased next to where one was proposed, and now their property tax has gone up like I told them it would when the greenway was developed. So do we have anything else from anyone else about limitations? Okay, can we have the next question, Mike? What are our major opportunities for the park system? What future opportunities? What do we, what can we see in the future?
I'm gonna
Thank-
jump in because I've heard from a number of folks, and I think a lot of the limitations are countered by the opportunities in Knightdale, because I think there is so much interest and desire for more, excuse me, more opportunities. And I think when you have a very active community, those opportunities that are limitation. I think the limitations in many communities are sometimes due to the lack of enthusiasm or the desire from the greater population. And so I think the Knightdale community is really yearning for more. And so the more you have, the more desire, and it helps. And to me, I think it helps a town council be able to say, hey, this, we need to do this because we see the community's backing what we're wanting to see and how we're wanting to change the recreation system, or maybe the downtown, or maybe a variety of things in our community for our stakeholders.
And I know y'all have talked about a lot of opportunities that were coming forward. So, sorry. So I was thinking that I really think the future with the growth, we can have many more parks. We need to look at pocket parks. We need to look at larger parks. Our plan will be completed. I'm not sure when, Mike. I'd say
I've got a schedule up
is it
here.
about, yeah, you've got the schedule. Can you show that? I think, yeah, October. And so during this time frame, ask your friends. We'll have a survey out on the town website. We're going to be doing public input meetings. So get your family, your friends. If you can't be there, at least do the survey and give us feedback, because we really want to know what we need to do to be able to have the best plan to help guide Knightdale in the future. We've got a bright future ahead of us, and we really need to look at where we're going with that. And how we're doing time-wise, she gave me, I've got about 6 more, I can't do math, 5 more minutes.
Yeah, 5 to 10. We can be flexible.
All right, just checking. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand how important feedback is, and to share the information that the town of Knightdale is looking for a comprehensive plan. They're looking for the future. They're looking for public input, and that we want to work with you to make it the best plan possible. And so we need to hear from everyone. Mike, do you want to go over? Okay. You just went to the front. That's fine. Okay.
Well,
There.
I did want to make sure everyone, you may have not felt like you had an opportunity to talk about the opportunities. I want to make sure that everyone had a chance to chime in if they wanted to, because I do think you've got now is the time we, as a community that's growing very rapidly, you want to make sure, that it's kind of like the old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. So we want to really think, what are we going to be like 10, 15, 20 years from now? Because if just think about 20 years ago, how many folks of us knew about pickleball or cornhole, for that matter, or greenways were around, but they're everywhere now. And so there are trends that are going to be occurring 10, 15, 20 years from now that we may not even be aware of. So in many cases, you need to have land or corridors, as if you could call it land banking, some things that are going to happen that we don't even know what's going to be around in that time. So we want to make sure that we are forward thinking in that area. Obviously, we have needs now, but how is that going to look in the future? Matt, you got any thoughts on that? I know you're getting ready to say something.
I was going to let other people talk. I've talked way too much during this time, but I mean, our opportunities are what everyone has said. I think it's jumping ahead of the game, building out the existing areas that we have. If we're even able just to buy land just to hold and for the future, I think is a good thing. You know, as we think about the growth that is coming to this area, Suzanne said it well. You know, we're the fastest growing area, but we have the opportunity to stay ahead of that curve if with our park system would be great. And I'll say it again, I'm just ready for COVID to be over, and when that happens, we can just start doing a little bit or a lot more programming than we have in the past. I will just give one more plug. It just seems like the staff leaders, especially in Knightdale, are really willing to partner with. They're not insulated. They're willing to partner with outside groups, organizations, businesses to really make the quality of life for Knightdale, for the residents of Knightdale and the surrounding areas really, really beautiful. So I really love that they do that. The staff leaders are willing to be that collaborative with other groups. So I'd say just keep that up and don't feel like that the Knightdale town the town of Knightdale has to own everything on its own. We can bring in other folks to help, you know, enhance what we have. So there you go.
Great. Anyone else?
And I'll just chime in and say a couple of things. I think I mentioned a couple of things with opportunity in the beginning, but and some of it has been said, but just restating I think you mentioned the pocket parks and other opportunities. And so I think you've got two things going. You've got one, the space and the actual areas where the activities will be held. So looking at the space overall, looking at the town overall, how can we expand it? How can we have I think I've mentioned this before, opportunities throughout the town on all sides. As we're growing all around. So we want opportunities for everyone and to be located close to them. So thinking about different creative things that we could do throughout the community. But I think there's the facilities that we offer as a town, and then there's the programming of the facilities. So looking at the programming and really taking advantage of what we have. I know we've got several different even things that we could do now with some of the activities that we have available, some of the park facilities that we have available. How do we utilize them? How do we enhance them? We've had several conversations about several different activities that we could add in and things that we could do, and just continuing down that path to offer different options for all people. So.
And we are a teeny tiny club. We are not very well represented here today, but we still are a small club. But how many towns have we driven through where we see a Rotary Park or a Kiwanis Park or a Lions Park? And, you know, I can't imagine that this Rotary Club would ever be able to sponsor something on the scale of Knightdale Station, but a pocket park might be just the ticket for Knightdale Rotary. So as this comes forward, keep us in mind to get our name on something and have us do some fundraising to support equipment or whatever it might be. So because we want to grow into this community as well as a civic organization.
I have a quick one additional thought. And I don't know enough about the existing park system, but is there an educational component to the park system? And I'm thinking like talking about food insecurity, other gardens, other school programs, teaching children how to grow food, how to prepare food, things like that. Something I know has been done in other places and perhaps could be included in a park program, park system in Knightdale.
Thank you, David. That is possible. It's been done in other communities, you're right, and I appreciate you bringing that up. We've done it a lot with community gardens, with education there and having community gardens. and other communities that had them close to primary and elementary schools as well as in the parks. So I've seen it at both locations where it worked very well. So that's good. Anyone else?
Chris, any final comments you'd like to add?
Yes, sir. Maria mentioned it's a small group, but I think we got a lot of great input today from everyone. The information you provided us, it addressed our needs, some of the things we're lacking, some of the things that you guys really like. So I just appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to bring this to the group today. And like I said, your input's been excellent. And we encourage you to help us promote this and get more community input, because we are planning for Knightdale's future. So, and we need everybody's help. So thanks again for giving us the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm going to stop your sharing, and I'm going to go back to share my screen in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Oh, don't leave quite yet, Luann.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Hold your horses.
Okay, I didn't know.
Whoops. Okay, so do you see a certificate of appreciation? Okay, so I will be mailing you, because you guys got up bright and early to address the Rotary Club of Knightdale, a certificate of appreciation for each and every one of you for joining us today. So
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now you are excused if you don't want to hang around. You can hang around if you'd like.
Thank you.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Thank
Let's have a great day.
you.
Thanks, you too.